There's nothing easy about this.
No, there isn't,
Thank you. No,
especially when there's no plan by the town.
Well, the fact is there is a plan by the town, and that's probably one of the things that's most misunderstood here, is that the reason that Stewart's Creek got sewered is not on the basis of based on the nitrogen contamination of the estuaries. I mean, it was for a totally different set of reasons.
What was the reason? It wasn't a public health reason either. What was the reason it was sewered?
No, the biggest reason for it was public health, which was the inability to site septic systems on a lot of the properties there without major variances, both because of the groundwater elevation and this was way before my time, but it was based on a finding. Excuse me for a second. It was based on a finding by the Citizens Advisory Committee back then that this was an area that had a high percentage of properties where septic systems that were compliant could not fit. And it was also an area where the reality is at least at that point in time, 18 years ago, the cost of hooking up to sewers was about equivalent or actually less than the cost of a septic system. And it lasts for 200 years versus 20 to 25 years. I
know.
Don't get me wrong.
And that study was done 20 years ago, and unfortunately they went forward with the plan without having any comprehensive plan for the town, and we're the victims of it.
I totally sympathize with the cost involved in here. In the town, I think the town does have a need to come up with some good answers in terms
and they
of how to
haven't.
approach this.
And to be told if you're destitute, you can get a loan. Well, guess what? If you're destitute, nobody's going to give you a loan. But destitution is what a lot of the people on my street are facing.
Well,
so it is an issue. It's a major issue.
No, I understand.
It's as important an issue as public health because a lot of people are going to lose their homes.
There's also the county loan program.
Well,
I know, with a 5% interest. It's worse than a mortgage.
I don't think. Let's back up. And again, I feel a need to respond to this just because, hopefully it helps some people out. My understanding, at least in terms of the betterment issues, the town has never foreclosed on a property and has no plans to do so at this point in time. So the fact of anyone losing their properties from the betterment is extremely, if not totally unlikely. Number two, the cost of hookup is something different. I agree, and that is going to be the one that becomes problematic. But if you have a failed system, it's going to cost you a lot more than the cost of hookup, and it does put you at risk because those are the kind of things that go against your mortgage score, which the betterment doesn't. And so, I wish I had a great answer on how to make it okay for people that can't afford it. If you can come up with some great ideas, I'm glad to fight for you as much as anybody, because I understand how much this costs people. But the other side of it is that if we don't do what we need to do for the environment, and we can argue about whether this was the proper place to do it.
Well, we all know it wasn't, including the town council now, who agrees they made a mistake. So we're the ones that are stuck with it, unfortunately.
Well, but so I'm saying to you, if you want us to work with you, if you can come up with reasonable ways of approaching the entire issue.
Well, that's what I thought I was doing by suggesting that I do a Title V inspection every 2 years to make sure that my system is compliant.
What I'm suggesting is request a hardship and get the 5-year variance.
I will happily do that. Is there actually a form for that?
We can dig up the old files.
There's no form for that. I do believe it's.
And then when 5 years comes up, and if the board could review it again at that time. So
I mean that's the way of approaching it. But I can't give you a blanket variance forever on that. I mean.
Well, I know that.
But that's your other way of approaching it. Is to go on those 5-year reviews.
Can I get that from you, Tom?
We could actually show you our files. We'd be happy to show you the files from the previous
and how people
project
apply for them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we could talk about this forever.
Yeah, I wish-
So
I
the
wish that
request here is for a
Town would talk about
variance,
it more than they do.
and I would make the motion to deny the request at this time.